what would be the steps that leading to being successful in adopting social business?
So the first thing I do is call IBM, right? Call the IBM team here in IBM Thailand. We actually wrote out a methodology. So we've been doing this. We see that the US and Europe are probably a year ahead of Asia right now. A lot of people now have been using it, so they're ready to be public references. So we developed a methodology of how to get started. And we share that methodology for free. You can sit down and do your own personal or company social business agenda. We look at your goals. We look at your influencers, your audience, who you're going to target. We look at your engagement model, a risk mitigation plan, and analytics, how you listen. So it's a very simple set of steps to get started quickly. At the end, we develop a business case with you, so you can see the return that you would expect. Again, because it's social business, not social media, you're going to expect a business value to come back. That is an easy way to start. We had one company in Latin America who went through the agenda workshop one day, and 3 days later actually was up, working and running in our smart cloud, experimenting with how they wanted to take the social business aspect in their particular area.
The next one would be, if the businesses adopt the social business, and how are you going to measure the success of using social business?
So I think it's a great question, because every business needs to measure their success.
Right.
And depending upon where they adopt it, they'll be measuring different things. So for instance, if you leverage it in customer service, I would advise you to measure your customer sat rating. Do you have more customers who are satisfied with your business or not? If you're going to leverage it in marketing and sales, I'd measure revenue. So are you increasing your revenue? So you can use tactic codes that come from your social elements. If you're going to use it in innovation, how many new ideas did you come up with? And did those ideas help you produce a profit? So for instance, Cemex, which is a Mexican cement company, actually I heard they had an office here in Thailand. Yeah, they've been leveraging social. They're coming up with great new ideas. They have about 500 expert communities where they share their expertise on ready-to-mix cement. And they actually just won Harvard's Management 2.0 award for their use of social in that setting in cement around the world. So they measured number of new ideas, employee retention, and innovation.
Experience any successful company? Have you talked to them? What makes them success? Have you?
It's a great question. So what makes you successful?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think the first thing is that you don't just use social because it's fun or because your competitor's doing it. That you do have a goal in mind and that you know what you want to accomplish with social, right? I think the second thing is that as you're using social, that you embed it into your process. So you don't have your community over here and something else over here, and you have two different areas or different ways you work. That it's embedded into your company's process, embedded into the workflow, because none of us have extra time to spend on social. And I think the third thing that you have to do is you have to figure out your metrics. What are your metrics and how are you going to succeed? How are you listening and monitoring that with analytics? So if you know you're on target or not.
Have you got any case study of a successful company that use social business?
We have tons of them.
Because you name one of them?
Tons of, yeah, we can. So we talked earlier about Cemex. Let me do a bank, because we've got a lot of banks now are looking to use social. In the banking area, there's a company called Royal Bank of Canada, and they have leveraged social in their customer service process. They were number 5 in the market for customer service, which is not a great place to be. And so what they did is they applied social analytics for their customer service reps to know more about their customers that they were calling. So for instance, maybe I know that you just had a baby because I saw it on Facebook. So I would call you up and I would say, I'm from Royal Bank of Canada. Congratulations on your new baby. He's so cute. He also looks very smart. Have you thought about opening an account for his college savings fund? And one of the things that Royal Bank of Canada found is the combination of that social analytic data plus a community of potential investors took them from number 5 to number 1 in the marketplace. Very powerful.
Interesting. Yes. What about ASEAN countries, companies in ASEAN?
Companies in ASEAN. Most of the companies in ASEAN, beside the restaurant I gave you in Indonesia, They're using it, but I can't give you their names. So I'll say there is a airline in ASEAN who's using it in their marketing. So they're using it to identify happy customers, what made them happy, to identify areas that they need to improve upon, and they're leveraging this community in that regard. There is actually there's 2 or 3 banks in ASEAN, one who's using it internally, and they're using it to solicit innovative ideas from their employees to better understand what the employees think that the bank should offer as a financial offering. So going to the teller, going to the back office personnel, and having them empowered to give their ideas in ways that they've never been able to do so far. In fact, there's one new offering coming out that came from this new employee community. There's a university, also unnamed right now, who is leveraging it to solicit feedback from students about different kinds of courses to attract students from all over the world to this university. And in fact, yesterday in Singapore, the National Singaporean University and ISS announced that they will now offer classes on social business for C-level executives, and that they will do classes on community management because of the demand that they're starting to see in Singapore for this to come out.
Okay, some people might be skeptical that Thailand and ASEAN still have low penetration of the internet. You know, that many people still don't have the access to the internet, or might not be interested in accessing to the internet. Will social business be effective in this region?
Well, there's a new report out. It's called the Global Web Index, and I think you'll be quite surprised to learn that for social penetration, #1 country in the world is the Philippines.
Really?
Really. Yeah, it's the Global Web Index. It's up on SlideShare. You can pull it down. #2 country in the world, Indonesia. #3, Malaysia. Yep. And then it's like Russia, Brazil, and then Singapore's in there in the top, kind of ahead of the global index. Thailand was about average. So, but there's a lot of ASEAN countries who are already leveraging the internet for social usage. And the thing I thought was most interesting was the change in the way people in ASEAN are using social. So if you look at the change in that report from last year to this year, last year people in ASEAN were using social essentially to communicate personal things. But this year we saw an increase in the way that people are using it to rate products, to use it in a business setting. And this year, for instance, Malaysia was rated #4 in the world for creating special interest communities. Now, if I was a business leader here in ASEAN, I would say, wow, that's that change. I'm going to capitalize on it and jump on that right away. And in fact, these ASEAN countries were rated above the US, above China, above Canada, above Germany in this penetration and this change. Now, this change has just occurred this year, so now would be the time to jump on that for sure.
All right. One last question. What would be your suggestion for ASEAN business leaders that might be interested in doing social business for their companies?
So I'd say in ASEAN, the first thing that I would do is look at this report on how consumers and other businesses are using social in ASEAN. Next, I would look at the social business agenda. Just go through it. It costs you nothing to go through it. Look and say, could this really have a competitive advantage on my company? And I think the answer is going to be yes. So the third thing you would do is get started. Go out there, check out IBM Smart Cloud. It's a fast, inexpensive way to get started, safe and secure. And it's something, the social is real easy because you can experiment with it, see what works, change, be really nimble, and get going fast. So that would be my suggestion.
All right. Thank you so much for joining our program today, Sandy.
Thank you, Nadia. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.